Hello everyone, welcome to Reiki Radio. I am your host, Yolanda Williams, and today is actually the full moon in Aries, but it's also a total lunar eclipse. And that's why I wanted to do the show today, just to remind you all to connect to this beautiful energy. And it will be very common that people will have their emotions stirring and you may be questioning your direction or different elements in your life, just feeling like you're on the verge of a really big change, and it's because you are. In this energy, we are really supported and encouraged to let go of things that are no longer working for us in our life. And, when we do get to this type of space, it can get very uncomfortable for us if we're not living in full alignment with our truth or going in directions that we feel are in the highest and best for us. So, if you are working through some of that, the good news is that you are ready to release and heal and transform some of those old ideas and behaviors and thoughts and just ways of doing things. Now, with this full moon being in Aries, it's also a great time for new beginnings and going with your heart and going in a way very boldly, the way that you feel is the best for you. So keep all of that in mind tonight. And if you are someone that likes to do full moon ritual, get ready and prepared for that. If you are signed up for my newsletter at yuchi.com, that's YEWCHI.com, you have access to my free moon manifesting workbook. So you may want to do some of those exercises tonight as well. So outside of that, I hope that you all have had a beautiful weekend. It's been really hot here in San Diego, and it's interesting because I have some clients and students on the East Coast, and they're all telling me how they're really looking forward to the fall and the change of weather. And meanwhile, we're over here really, really hot and can't escape the need for air conditioning. But I'm not complaining, because when everyone else is very cold in the winter, we are still, out at the beach. So I guess it's a trade-off. Anyway, this morning I had the beautiful opportunity of connecting with so many people for a special event that I had called Aura Coding. And today was the first day of a 2-part series that is focused on unlocking your intuition. And it went so well, and it was so much fun, and there was so much powerful movement and shifting and transforming of energy that I plan to do this event again, although it probably won't be until the end of the year, because I have another Aura Coding event that's going on in October. So if you want more information about any of the events that I host, please be sure to sign up for my newsletter at yuchi.com, and that way you can stay in the loop and you can join us for anything that may be coming up. I do try to share as much with you here on Reiki Radio, but unfortunately, because I don't talk to you every day, there are times where events or certain things will come up, and by the time I am able to tell you, it's too late for you to attend. So go to yuchi.com, that's YEWCHI.com, and sign up for that newsletter today. Now, today on the show, what I wanted to talk to you about is flowing with creativity. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because we are creators. That's what we do. Everything that exists, that we see here in the physical realm, is born from someone's idea or creation. And a lot of times we get so caught up in our lives, the day-to-day and our routines, and we end up having a buildup of energy that moves us outside of clarity. And we literally will have these energetic blocks that occur within our field of consciousness. And when this happens, we move out of clarity of mind, but also this can have cause some difficulty for us with connecting with our creative energy and our creative channels. Now, a lot of times when we think about creative energy, we think about people who are artists or writers or musicians. You know, you hear about them having creative blocks, or, you know, people who are artistic in some way. They talk about having a muse or being inspired by certain things or certain people or certain works. Well, all of us, again, all of us are creators. And, you know, even if you're someone who works in the office, perhaps you have to create presentations or create something for meetings or for your teams. If you are a mother, you know, you are creating routines even for your children, or how you're working with them, how you're doing homework with them and creating meals for your family. Everything that you do is creation or creating on some level. So, what do we do when we feel so disconnected from our clarity and our ability to create? You know, when we have just so much on our minds that it seems like we can't even focus on what to do or how to do it. And then there's those other times where we are just so inspired, and it's like anything that comes to mind, we're just right on it. And we have these great ideas, and we have all of this inspiration to try new things and do new things and have new experiences. And it seems like when we're in that mode that we have all of these like serendipitous events occur, and we have these beautiful connections that were unexpected, and it's just a beautiful flow when we are open to receive and open and connected to our creative energy. Well, this is going to be very important right now, especially since, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we're in this powerful full moon energy right now, where so many of us are releasing and are on the verge of change. And big change, significant change. And when we are making some kind of transition within our life, it is very beneficial to us to have clarity of mind and have very clear awareness and be connected to our flow of creativity, because it helps us to move forward with more confidence, and it helps us to move forward with more ease, and it helps us to stay out of, you know, the doubt, the fears, and the worries, because we're just doing. We're doing and we're creating and we're moving, and it feels good. That's what a harmonious balancing of our energy is all about. It's about the way that we flow, the way that we are moving internally, externally, the way that we are creating. Now, the energy of our creation and the energy of our creativity is where we begin before anything manifests in a physical or material sense, right? So, for an example, an artist, they may be inspired by music, and then they see these beautiful images in their mind's eye, or they just feel the art moving through their body, and so they express this creativity on a canvas, and then they have this beautiful work of art that they created. And it's like, wow, where did that come from? It's the energy. That is the real muse. Our real muse is our receptivity, our openness. So when we are in a space of feeling stuck, or when we're in a space of not knowing what to do or how to do it, or wanting to execute but just not feeling like it. Sometimes we just don't feel like it. It's because we have this congestion of energy that doesn't know where to go. If you listen to the show, I have described this before like a hose, like a water hose that it has a kink in it. So you know if you turn on a water hose and you grab it and you fold it in half and the water just builds up and nothing is flowing out. And then when you release that kink, the water begins to flow again. This is what happens to us when we have a congestion of energy within our field of consciousness. Now, the key, of course, is going to be how we reconnect and clear all of that out so that we can begin to flow again in a harmonious state. Now, there's something I want to share with you that's, a little more on the personal side. I talk to you so much on the show and in my newsletters and in my classes about the importance of balance and the importance of maintaining and managing your energy for every aspect of your life, for how you experience your life, for how you perceive and create the life that you're living. Now, even though I'm aware of this, and even though I practice several different techniques to help me with this, there are still times, even in my own life, where I get out of balance. And then I'm congested with energy and totally disconnected from my flow of creativity. So just recently, I guess it's been over a month, maybe almost 2 months ago now, I told you all that I went on a trip across country. So I flew to the East Coast and then drove back across the country to San Diego. Now that experience was very amazing, but it was also very stressful at times. And, driving across country is really not the easiest or most comfortable experience. And then when I came home, I felt overwhelmed with everything that I needed to do, everything that I needed to take care of, wanting to reconnect with my students and my clients and, doing the radio show and classes. I had so much on my plate that I needed to do, but because energetically I allowed this culmination of what needed to be done to build up in my mind, that I became so congested and out of balance and not in my natural flow. And at first, I just did it. I just did what I felt I needed to do. But it began to wear on me and I became very tired and I was out of balance because I wasn't creating from a space of joy and love. And that's really what I want you to understand. When we are personally in a space of harmony and feeling good and feeling balanced, that's the base of how we are going to flow energetically and how we are able to connect with our creativity. What we are connected with is what we are inspired by. And if we are congested, it's hard for us to connect with and see and understand and allow energy to move through us in a productive way. Now, interestingly, there are some people who are inspired and create from spaces of, sadness and being hurt. I used to write poetry years ago. And when I would go through a difficult situation, that for me was the most inspiring. And I would love to write from that space but that's because that was a way of release. I used that feeling, those emotions, as a way to paint a picture, as a way to create with words. But it was a way to release and to allow myself to again start to flow in a more balanced and harmonious way. Now, on the flip side, when I may be congested because of stress and overwhelm, I can't quite connect with that creative energy. So in that space, I have to do it a little differently. And this is what happens for so many of us. We just need to be still. So sometimes when we are feeling stuck, it's exactly where we need to be because we need to be still. We need to take a moment to take a breath and allow ourselves to sort through the layers and layers of what we're holding on to. Figuring out why we're holding on to whatever it is that's within our field of consciousness. Acknowledging how it's affecting us and choosing what we're going to do with these energies. So, for an example, say you are working on a course or a project for work, and you're just so overwhelmed with the ideas of what it is you need to do that you can't seem to get started. Allow yourself to pause and go into a meditative state and connect with just yourself. Let go of what you need to do. Focus in on your breath and allow yourself to relax. And once you're in a space of calm, you can write down the different elements that you are working on or what it is that you need to put together. And it's going to just naturally start to come out of you and naturally start to flow because you've allowed yourself to come down, to come back into your body. Now, on previous shows, I've talked a lot about grounding and how important it is for us to ground and reconnect with our physical self. To acknowledge what it feels like to be in this physical body. When we are in overwhelm, we tend to want to escape on an energetic level. And we literally, it's like we leave our bodies. And we'll use the term sometimes, I just feel out of my mind. Or you'll hear people say, I just don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I'm here. It's because you're not. And the reason we leave is because there is something that we either don't want to deal with, we don't want to look at, or it's just so overwhelming that it's uncomfortable, so it's easier to escape. But that's not helping us. So when you are in a space of wanting to connect with your flow of creativity, start with grounding. Start with connecting with your physicality. Start with acknowledging where you are, what you feel like. And as you acknowledge what you feel like, you can start to acknowledge why you feel the way that you feel. And when you acknowledge why you feel the way that you feel, you can then choose what you want to do with those feelings. If you can have a change in perspective, if it's something that you just no longer need to hold on to, if it's something that you're ready to release, if it's something that you need to acknowledge so that you can have emotion around it, perhaps you need to cry to help you move that energy. It's all about self-acknowledgement. Taking care of you is the root and the base of flowing and functioning in a healthy state. You know, we've talked about this before too, how we all pretty much have heard about how to take care of our physical bodies and get plenty of rest and drink plenty of water and eat healthy foods. That's all great for our physicality, and it is very important. The other element of our well-being is our energy. Our feelings, our thoughts, our beliefs, all of these are energetic and also require maintenance. You know, it's so interesting. This month it has come up a lot with, you know, people that I've worked with and even in my personal life, of how much we say we want to be okay and how much we seek answers and direction, when all the while the answers are always within us. It's just we don't always necessarily want to look at ourselves. We seek externally for resolve. We look outside of us to find the answers because we do not want to look inside when it's uncomfortable or it's something we don't want to deal with. And this is why I always say, anyone who really truly decides to do this type of energy work, to work on themselves, to focus on their self-healing and transformation, it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of self-love, forgiveness, and understanding. It's huge. It's no easy feat, but it is so rewarding. Now, if you are willing to do this, you can then connect with these channels of creativity and flow in a more natural and balanced state in a more consistent basis. You know, like I said, I know these tools and I know how to maintain myself energetically, but there are still times where I have hiccups and I fall out of balance. But when you are dedicated to looking at you and working on you, you become more resilient and you don't stay in that space of stuck or disconnect for long periods of time. You're able to bounce back and recover much more quickly when you really decide to look at you and look at how you're functioning and why you're functioning that way, and making the choice to change and transform whatever is in the best interest for you. So to flow with our creativity, like all things, is just a matter of taking care of ourselves, physically and energetically. We get into this zone of creating, of being inspired, of feeling good, because we're balanced. Think about that. The times when you feel good, when you're in a good mood, you're happy, it's like the day just is magical, right? You have the best interactions, and like I said before, you know, some of the most unexpected things may happen. Things start to just fall in your lap. It's because of how you're flowing energetically. Versus the days where you are having a tough time and, you know, it seems everything is going wrong. Your energy feeds into that and affects that. So you're creating either way. And that's the point for you to really understand. What space are you creating from? Are you creating from a space of love and joy? Or are you creating from a space of upset? Are you creating from frustration and anger? Look around you. What type of day are you having? What are you feeding energy into? What type of energy are you pouring into your creations? Even when we feel that we are not creating or disconnected from our space of clarity, that space of stuck. We can create that over and over again until we cause a shift, until we rebalance ourselves. So today and moving forward, I want you to keep in mind what your flow of creativity is, where you are creating from, what your energy is like. What are you ready to heal and transform? What's uncomfortable for you right now? And how can you resolve that? What are your options? Is it just a matter of forgiving? Is it just a matter of bringing in some love into your field of consciousness, into your space? Now, of course, I have a few different tools to help you. If you're in the space of just needing to connect with yourself and connecting with your physicality, I do have a free guided meditation that's all about connecting with your physical being and acknowledging your physical self. If you are on my newsletter, you already have access to that. It came in the very first email that you received. And I think it's called Body Awareness Meditation. And if there are other things that you are currently trying to work through or feel challenged with, there are several free webinars available on my website that may connect with something that you're trying to work through right now. And then, of course, you can go through the archives here on Reiki Radio, or you can go to the iTunes app for the podcast and subscribe to Reiki Radio's podcast. That way you can access past episodes, which also may be on a topic that may help you through whatever you're trying to work through right now. But at the end of the day, it's all about you. It's all about your self-connection, your self-awareness, how you are allowing yourself to flow. I hope that you all have a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. And again, prepare for this full moon. Connect with this full moon energy. Really consider today what it is you're ready to release and what it is you are healing and transforming and how you want to move forward. What is it you want to do? How do you want to show up? What do you want to create? And what is the energy that you're pouring into what you're creating right now? It matters, and you have choice. So that's all for today. And as always, I thank you so much for joining me here on Reiki Radio. If you know anyone who would benefit from these podcasts, be sure to share the information with them. And I look forward to talking to you all again next week. Be well, and remember to always journey in love.